They told us not to go. Everyone in town knew the stories. Whispers of shadowy figures, blood-curdling screams in the night, and doors slamming shut on their own. But we were young, foolish, and in search of a thrill. The old county hospital loomed at the edge of the town like a decaying giant, its windows shattered, its walls streaked with grime, and its once bright emergency sign now barely legible. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. It was a dare, a stupid dare that brought us there. "If you're so brave," my friend Jake had said, "then let's see if you can spend an hour inside the hospital." It was supposed to be a quick exploration, a funny story to tell at parties. None of us believed the rumors of ghosts or the tragic deaths that supposedly cursed the place. But that night, I learned how wrong we all were. We entered through a broken window on the ground floor. The sharp crunch of glass under our shoes echoed like gunshots in the stillness. The air inside was suffocating, thick with the smell of mildew and something metallic, like blood, though I tried not to think about it. My flashlight beam swept across the peeling walls and flickering remnants of old fluorescent lights. Every step felt like trespassing into something deeply forbidden. "This is so stupid," Sarah whispered, clutching Jake's arm. "Let's just look around and get out of here." "Relax," Jake said, though his voice lacked its usual bravado. "It's just an old building. Nothing's gonna happen." But something was already happening. As we moved deeper into the hospital, the air grew colder, unnaturally so. I could see my breath misting in front of me, even though it was the middle of summer. And then came the whispers, faint at first, like the rustling of leaves, but unmistakable. Words we couldn't make out, spoken in a hushed, urgent tone. We froze. "Did you hear that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Probably the wind," Jake said, though his hand tightened on Sarah's. We all knew it wasn't the wind. We made our way to the surgical ward, the part of the hospital everyone in town said was the most haunted. It was here, they claimed, that a fire had broken out decades ago, trapping patients and staff alike. The screams of the dying had been heard from miles away, and their spirits were said to linger, reliving their final moments over and over. The ward was a long, narrow hallway, lined with empty gurneys and rusted wheelchairs. The walls were streaked with dark stains, and the ceiling tiles hung like jagged teeth. As we crept forward, I became acutely aware of the sound of our footsteps. But then I realized something. There was another set of footsteps, lighter and quicker, echoing just behind us. "Stop," I said, my heart hammering. "Do you hear that?" Everyone went silent, and then we heard it. A soft, rhythmic tapping, like someone walking barefoot on the cold tile floor. It was coming closer. Jake spun around, shining his flashlight down the hallway we'd just come from. There was nothing there. "This is just our imagination," he said, though his voice shook. "Let's keep moving." But as we turned to continue, we saw her. At the end of the hallway stood a figure, a woman in a pale, blood-stained nurse's uniform. Her head was tilted at an unnatural angle, and her hair hung in limp strands over her face. Her hands were twisted, claw-like, as if frozen in a final act of desperation. She didn't move, didn't breathe. She just stood there, blocking our path. Who's there?" Jake stammered. The figure raised a hand, slowly, deliberately, and pointed at us, and then she screamed. It wasn't a normal scream. It was guttural, raw, the kind of sound that makes your blood run cold. The lights flickered violently, and the air seemed to vibrate with an unbearable pressure. "Run!" Sarah shrieked, and we bolted. We didn't stop until we reached the stairwell. Panting and shaking, we slammed the door shut behind us. "What the hell was that?" Jake gasped, his face pale as a sheet. "We need to get out of here," I said, fighting back the rising panic. But as we turned to descend the stairs, we froze again. The whispers were back, louder now, echoing from all around us. And then the door behind us slammed open. The nurse was there, standing at the top of the stairs, her head still tilted, her hollow eyes locked on us. But now, she wasn't alone. Behind her, more figures began to appear, shadowy shapes with glowing eyes, their forms shifting and flickering like they weren't entirely solid. We ran. Down the stairs, through the halls, past the gurneys and wheelchairs that now seemed to move on their own. The whispers became a deafening roar, a cacophony of voices screaming for help, for vengeance, for escape. The air grew icy, and I swear I felt hands clawing at my back as we sprinted toward the exit. When we finally burst out into the night, the silence was deafening. We didn't stop running until we were far from the hospital, the eerie glow of its windows fading behind us. None of us spoke a word on the way home. That night changed us. We didn't tell anyone what we saw. Who would believe us? But I still dream about that nurse, about the way she screamed, about the look in her eyes, like she was begging us to stay, to join her in that dark, endless nightmare. I've never been back to the hospital. I don't know if it's still standing, and I don't care to find out. But sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet and the lights are out, I hear whispers, and I wonder if I left part of myself in that cursed place, or if something followed me home.